Imagine your massive 80-gallon bathtub down the drain, gone in no time. Now, let's pump up that water level to an almost unimaginable 1,340.74 million cubic kilometers. That's roughly the volume of our incredible oceans. Picture it not a bath, but the world's ocean itself disappearing into thin air. How long would this epic event take? We're about to dive into some mind-blowing numbers and find out. But let's not get too carried away. The Earth without oceans would be a barren world, vastly different from what we know today. Scientists have explored this thought experiment, and they've come up with two key findings: good news and bad news. First, the silver lining theoretically. It is possible to drain our massive ocean. But hold onto your seat for the bad news. Without those life-giving oceans, Earth would become an uninhabitable desert, devoid of the lush ecosystems we call home. Now for the not-so-bright side, and trust us, it's a doozy. According to Craig McLean, the Earth's oceans are draining at an incredibly slow pace, so slow that you could almost call it glacial. If we were to somehow magically funnel all of our 1.3 billion cubic kilometers of ocean water into a tiny hole, roughly the size of your bathroom sink, we'd see only about 1,141 gallons gone each day. To put this mind-blowing speed into perspective, draining the entire planet's oceans completely would take an astonishing 80 trillion years, making it safe to say that our oceans are here to stay for a pretty long time. But hold on to that thought, because 80 trillion years is actually just the beginning. That time frame is a whopping 6,000 times longer than our universe has even been around. Can you wrap your head around that? But here's where things get really interesting. If we're using those teeny tiny plums as a reference point, it's time to think bigger, like the massive Challenger void in the Mariana Trench. This enormous underwater sinkhole is exactly what writer and illustrator Randall Munroe used when he put our planet's ocean drainage into perspective. And trust us, it's a wild thought experiment that will leave you speechless. Now let's dive into Randall Munroe's out-of-this-world plan, literally. He thinks we need a super cool portal to make this drainage experiment work without any major planetary consequences. The idea is simple yet genius. Instead of just letting the water disappear, why not send it on an epic journey to Mars? If we kept the H2O close to home, it'd be more like a catastrophic flood than a controlled experiment, heavy rain that would instantly recreate our oceans. So, with this portal in place, our planet's waters would start their intergalactic adventure. And if you're curious about the initial effects on Earth, get ready for some mind-bending math. The ocean level would drop by a tiny but measurable 0.4 inches each day, just less than 1 centimeter. So, picture this for a second, the ocean slowly but surely disappearing before our eyes. But hold up, it's not exactly an epic movie moment just yet. The rate of the ocean level drop is actually super slow. We're talking about a minuscule 0.4 inches every day, or roughly a centimeter. It's so subtle that you'd hardly notice any drastic changes. No dramatic whirlpools forming, no massive floods, and definitely no sudden shifts in our climate. Instead, it would be more like watching paint dry, but with way more water involved. Meet Munroe. He's as excited about this slow ocean disappearance as we initially were, and for good reason. He proposes a challenge. Let's imagine opening even more of these magic drains and see what happens when the oceans drop by an incredible 164 feet or 50 meters. When that happens, you'll start to notice some major changes on our planet. Places like the Netherlands, famous for their canals, would suddenly transform into dry landscapes. Countries like Sri Lanka, New Guinea, Great Britain, and islands in Indonesia would get direct land connections to neighboring regions. A game changer for transportation and trade. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. If we keep waiting and let the oceans drop another 50 meters or 164 feet, something amazing could happen off the coast of Scotland. Get ready for the birth of a gigantic new island. As our ocean draining continues, the Grand Banks off Newfoundland would start forming new territories. The more water that disappears, the more new lands we'd see emerging from beneath the surface. Now, imagine this, if the Netherlands gets connected to North America as we keep waiting for the oceans to drop, and Japan somehow links Russia and the Korean Peninsula. It's like a whole new world unfolding before our eyes. But wait, there's even more. As we approach an astonishing 3 miles or -5 kilometers, something remarkable happens. The Arctic Ocean would be completely isolated from these newly formed land bridges, cutting it off from the rest of the planet in a way that we've never seen before. But hold up, because just when you thought we were getting close to a completely dry Earth, it's not that simple. The process wouldn't go all the way. Its tributaries would actually stop flowing before that, leaving us with an ocean still very much present on our planet. The idea of the Mariana Trench acting as a final drainage pipe just isn't realistic here. So what does this mean? Well, it means even after pulling the plug and watching Earth's oceans dramatically recede, there would still be plenty of water left over. But you might wonder, how would our planet look during all of this? That's where Ryan Brito from the University of New Brunswick's Department of Geodesy and Mathematics steps in with his incredible data visualizations based on Monroe's calculations. Get ready to see Earth in a whole new light as we dive into what it would truly be like if we were to drain our oceans. Now, let's talk numbers. Ryan Brito estimated that this cosmic draining extravaganza would play out over a whopping 3 million years. That's a mind-bogglingly long time. But as awesome as the visuals might be, it's worth pointing out that this scenario is more fantasy than science fact. I mean, let's face it, the idea of all our oceans gushing through the Mariana Trench just isn't super likely to happen in reality. So what could make Earth dry up? Well, we've got some way more plausible options on the table, like global climate change or a scorching hot sun that dries out our planet. These are the kinds of changes that can have a serious impact on our oceans and ultimately leave Earth feeling parched. Let's think this through. If our star has already shown off its destructive power by turning once habitable Venus into a scorching hothouse, why can't it happen again? One thing we know for sure is that the sun's brightness isn't staying steady. Every billion years or so, it bumps up its heat by about 7%. It's this gradual increase in warmth that some scientists like Colin Goldblatt from the University of Victoria believe led to the watery doom of Venus and all life on it. Now, they're sounding the alarm for us as our star continues its slow burn. Earth's oceans will start to feel the heat, eventually hitting a sizzling 56 degrees Celsius or 133 degrees Fahrenheit. The question is, how long until our home planet follows in Venus' footsteps? But here's where things get really intense. If our oceans get too toasty, they'll start to boil away into space as steam. Unfortunately for us, even our cloudy friends won't be able to save the day. While they're like umbrellas shielding us from harsh solar rays and helping keep things cool, a boiling ocean would actually boost their greenhouse effects, making them weaker at protecting us. As the water disappears, it's game over. There's no turning back, and the Earth will slowly but surely dry out. You might think we're the main culprits behind this Earth-drying disaster, and you'd be right. Our love for oil, gas, and coal is speeding up the process. When we burn these fossil fuels, it's like dumping a whole lot of extra carbon dioxide into our atmosphere, amping up that greenhouse effect to extreme levels. But here's the thing. Even if we somehow magically saved every last drop of fuel and lived off the grid for good, our planet would still be in trouble. Scientists predict that due to an increase in solar temperature, Earth will lose its water in about 1 billion years. Yep, you heard that right. It's a ticking clock. So, you're wondering what'll be left for us to drink when the oceans are gone. Well, there'd still be some ice caps, lakes, rivers, and groundwater, but trust me, it's a drop in the bucket, just 3.5% of our current water supply. And here's the thing: that remaining water wouldn't replenish itself, it would all dry up, leaving us high and dry. No more replenishing our reservoirs or refilling our lakes. We'd be staring at a seriously bleak future without any hope for a drinkable drop. Imagine a world without clouds, and with them, no rain. The oceans are where most clouds form. So this nightmare scenario is basically a perpetual drought. Plants would shrivel up, and animals searching for water would be on their last legs. It's hard to see how they'd survive. And let's not forget the real fire danger. Without rain, wildfires could spread out of control. We're talking about a serious survival crisis here. The only glimmer of hope in this desolate picture is if we somehow manage to escape to Antarctica before its icy shield started to crack under the drought pressure, and that's no guarantee. As we picture life without clouds, the thought of migrating to the southern hemisphere might seem like a rescue plan, but let's not get our hopes up just yet. Yes, you'd find water in that wasteland, but infrastructure and resources for survival. Non-existent. Sure, building an underground bunker could shield you from scorching temperatures and harsh weather conditions. But here's the catch: as our air grows thinner, without clouds' oxygen replenishment, breathing would become increasingly difficult. No shelter, no matter how well built, can save us from that suffocating reality. Now let's shift gears into some real optimism. Enthusiasts are thinking way ahead. What if we could actually colonize an aquatic planet? You heard that right, a planet mostly covered in water, but not our Earth. The challenge would be to make it habitable without drowning. Some out-of-the-box thinkers suggest using a massive orbital mirror to harness the sun's power and boil off that excess water, essentially turning up the heat and creating space for us to settle in. It sounds like science fiction, but hey, who knows what the future of humanity might hold? But wait, there's more. Another approach to rescue our aquatic friend involves increasing cloud cover using chemicals to cool it down and freeze the water into ice. Then we'd have a solid foundation for life to take hold. On the other hand, some wild thinkers propose blasting a giant heater to turn that excess water straight into vapor, essentially boiling off the planet's surface. Now, we're calling on you. Share your most outrageous ideas in the comments below. The wackier, the better. History has shown us time and again that even the craziest concepts can lead to groundbreaking discoveries, so let's unleash our imagination and see what kind of out-of-this-world solutions we come up with. If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up and consider subscribing for a non-stop dose of edutainment. Don't miss out on the latest updates. Click that little bell icon to turn on notifications whenever we release new videos. The learning journey doesn't end here. There are plenty more exciting content waiting just around the corner. Share the fun with friends and family by recommending us, because riddles are always better shared. Imagine yourself plummeting downwards with no safety net, no parachute to save you from the impact.